Hi, some thoughts for today, All Saints' Day. Wood. There is something gloriously wonderful and beautiful about wood, isn't there? One of my abiding early memories is a carpenter's workshop. Situated in the village, it was so distinctive with its sounds and the smell of wood being worked. I was fascinated by the carpenter as bits of wood were made into shelves, window frames or plain boxes. Tools hanging on the wall, the rhythm of the plane, the curling wood shavings, and of course the sawdust. It had an almost timeless quality, as no job could be rushed. It took its own time. Timber carefully chosen by an eye that seemed both so experienced and wise. Beautiful. The glory of wood revealed. And then I was always a little disappointed when the paintbrush appeared and started to cover the wood. Years later, I found myself working in a little studio, reversing the work those painters had done to old bits of furniture. I worked for a family firm who dipped and stripped old pine furniture, and my task was to sand the wood down by hand and to polish it off using wire wool and finally a rich honey-based polish. I was always amazed at how the wire wool began to transform the wood. It would draw out the dust in the grain so that the grain began to glow. It almost seemed like a miracle to me. Again, as in construction, the work could not be hurried. It took its own time. So old chairs, tables, dressers and bookshelves began a new life, just being simply beautiful and unique. I know tropical woods like mahogany and teak should never be painted, but I believe neither should pine. Painting over any wood is almost akin to desecration. The carpenter is there to enhance the beauty inherent in the wood, not to obscure it with paint. There's a real tendency to do something similar with the saints. We can paint over their image, that suddenly their wonderful and ordinary humanity disappears. I can remember hearing the stories of the saints and just how good they were, how perfect, how humble, how steadfast, how brave, that they became a real pain. They ceased to be human beings, almost to the point that they became unreal and unbelievable. My image of the saints was derived from paintings, poems and music, and the more I looked and listened, the more remote they became. They never had doubts, never had fears, and were always calm and peaceful. They seemed to be no longer one of us, way too remote and distant. I believe we need to bring the saints back down to earth. They did not become saints by putting on a false or artificial self. They tried to be the best they could be in living out God's love and peace around them. They knew their dark times and had to deal with their own fears, anxieties and conflicts. And like the fashioning of our bits of wood, it took time to fashion their lives in the way of God in Jesus. Take Jesus' closest friends, his disciples, who had all sorts of difficulties to overcome. It took time until they became what God wanted them to be. And also today we can pay homage to God's saints down through the centuries who've been faithful to God, especially those we have known and who have shown us the goodness of God. Those who have stood beside us, those who have inspired us, those who have encouraged us or shared our journey with us. In the words of St. Paul, we are God's chosen ones, his saints, with all our flaws and weaknesses. At the same time, we need to try and be the best we can be. That is what the saints did before us, and now it is our turn. In the world that seems so chaotic, confused and fearful, there has never been a greater need for saints. Individuals who are focused on the peace and love of God. Individuals whose lives display goodness. Individuals whose lives are true. We need individuals, saints, just like you. Keep well, keep safe, and God bless.